Hello everyone, with Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Thursday evening, December 14, 2023. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video, share it, subscribe and tap notification bell so that you'll be notified every time I post a brand new video. Feel free to leave a comment down in the comment section letting me know what the weather has been like in your area recently. Also, feel free to ask any weather related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. Alright, so let us take a look at what the US National Hurricane Center is showing on their 7-day graphical tropical weather outlook. We can still see that there's nothing new that's highlighted, and we can still also see that the latest post is from November 30th at 7 p.m. But that could change as the models have been hinting at something possibly developing across portions of the eastern Gulf of Mexico, the southeastern United States, according to what the Euro and the GFS models are showing. It could be something tropical, it could be something subtropical. We shall see exactly what unfolds. Either way, there's definitely a lot of rainfall in the forecast for sections of the southeastern United States and eventually sections of the Greater Antilles, including Jamaica. Let us take a look at the Euro model that's showing the next 168 hours, and we're going to be looking at this portion of the basin, the western portion of the Atlantic basin. So we start to see a lot of greens that represent moisture starting to gather and clump up together. This is 1 a.m. on Saturday. This is only a day or two away. Start to see more in the way of yellows, even some reds right there across portions of the southeastern Gulf of Mexico. And then even an L right there forming, maybe an area of low pressure. And we can see all of this heading into portions of western Florida, even developing even more yellows, more reds. And look at the tail end of the moisture, all of those greens and yellows heading into portions of Jamaica. And we're only going to be going to the next 168 hours. And we saw exactly what unfolded. All of that line of showers stretched from that system all the way down into portions of the Caribbean. And the GFS is showing something very similar. You can see that line of moisture into portions of the Greater Antilles, including Jamaica. Then, by the end of the 168 hours, or by the end of the 7 days, it should be out of there. But we still have that line of showers right there, stretching all the way down into portions of the Caribbean. Either way, the rainfall totals are showing some amount of rainfall. We're starting to see the Euro model cave to what the GFS was showing yesterday. More in the way of some lighter shades of blues that represent maybe close to 2 inches of rainfall across the Jamaica area for the next 7 days. Either way, we have to pay close attention to see exactly what unfolds. We know sometimes the rainfall totals can fluctuate, maybe be heavier in some areas than others, so we have to stay abreast to what's being predicted. Alright, so let us take a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening. We can still see that the entire Atlantic basin is being dominated by a ridge of high pressure that's sending all of those easterly trade winds across the main development region into the Caribbean. We can see a trough of low pressure right there across the northern section of the main development region, and a cold front that stretches all the way from northern section of North Atlantic all the way down into portions of the Bahamas and western Cuba into the Gulf of Mexico. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of the Atlantic before the sun went down, we can see the clouds associated with that trough of low pressure, and we can also see the low level clouds pushing from east to west. If we actually look closely, don't look at those clouds moving from southwest to northeast. Those are actually upper level clouds moving in the upper levels of the atmosphere. Those don't contribute too much in the way of rainfall. What contributes to the rainfall that the Caribbean has been receiving recently is the low level flow of clouds, and all of that has to do with the high pressure that's pushing all of that to the west or this west southwest in that low level flow of winds. And we see some of that across portions of the Caribbean. And we can also see the clouds associated with that cold front stretching all the way from northern section of North Atlantic all the way down into portions of the Bahamas, Florida, sections of western Cuba, and the Gulf of Mexico, bringing some amount of overcast sky showers and thunderstorms to those spots as we speak. We'll be talking more about the Caribbean's weather later on. let us focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today. It was stated that sections of some northern parishes in Jamaica would have received some early morning rainfall. And if you remember yesterday's video, we even highlighted maybe sections of eastern Jamaica getting in on some of that rainfall as well. And it was also predicted that sections of some southern parishes in Jamaica would get in on some of that afternoon rainfall. And for your information, northern parishes, we're talking about Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland. Southern parishes, St. Thomas, Kingston, St. Andrew, St. Catherine, Clarendon, Manchester, St. Elizabeth, and Westmoreland. Eastern parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Surrey. So Portland, St. Thomas, Kingston, and St. Andrew. And what ended up happening? A post was made on our Twitter page. Keep in mind that these posts aren't only made on our Twitter page, but our Facebook, Instagram, and even our TikTok page. So if you have one of those social media platforms, please ensure that you follow us there as we make other mini posts that are not made here on our YouTube channel. So we can see the Cuban Doppler radar images were posted, highlighting some greens and even some yellows in there that represent some light to moderate to even some heavy rainfall, affecting sections of some northern and eastern parishes, especially eastern Jamaica got in some amount of rainfall this morning. And even by 10:55 a.m., we still had some of those clouds coming in from the east northeast for the most part. Definitely northern Jamaica got in on a lot of rainfall today. Sections of Portland, St. Mary, St. Anne, Trelawney, St. James, Hanover got in on a lot of rainfall. Even sections of St. Thomas got in on some of these rain bands, spilling into sections of Kingston and St. Andrew as well. And we even have confirmation from some of our followers on our Facebook page, Bella Beer stating rainy, and even Kiva Gray stating overcast. And even on our YouTube page, we had Yvette Walker 476 stating good morning. We're having rain right now in eastern St. Thomas, Jamaica. Thanks for the update. Highly appreciated. You're welcome, Yvette. All right. So if we take a look at the live stream from today on the See Jamaica YouTube channel. So if you're on YouTube or if you like the live streams, we can actually see the corporate eras of Upper Kingston, the Kingston Harbor Crossroad, Halfway Tree. If you like the live streams, you can go on their YouTube channel. We actually have a partnership with that YouTube channel, so you'll be doing us a favor if you actually, visit those pages and subscribe. So we're at the halfway tree camp and we're looking towards the northeast. We can actually see where some of that rainfall that we just showed was actually coming into sections of the hills of St. Andrew. So that rainfall that was experienced by Yvette in St. Thomas definitely made its way westward and affected sections of northern St. Andrew. And this does indeed confirm the rainfall that was stated by the followers. Even Sapphire Willie Marsh on our Instagram page confirmed the rainfall, stating raining in Bobby now. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of Jamaica before the sun went down, we can see that we still have some amount of clouds coming into sections of northern Jamaica, western Jamaica, sections of eastern Jamaica getting in on some of the action. We can't see much on the infrared satellite images, just some grays represent the cloud cover. But as it relates to the Cuban Doppler radar images, we can see that even right now we're getting in on some amount of rainfall. The time is now 7:31 p.m. and we can actually see that we have some amount of rainfall. This is the latest Doppler radar image at 7:30. Very updated and up to the time. You can see the greens that represent rainfall still coming into sections of eastern St. Thomas, sections of Portland, St. Mary as we speak. And if we take a look at the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology website, we can actually see the places in Jamaica that got the rainfall for today. So sections of northern Jamaica, especially eastern Jamaica, got in some of that rainfall as well as sections of some southern and western parishes in Jamaica. So this map does indeed confirm the rainfall that was had today. Taking a look at the temperatures right now, we can see that we have 26 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 25 degrees Celsius in Kingston, and by about 3 a.m., the temperature should dip down to about 24 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 23 degrees Celsius in Kingston. Taking a look at the temperature forecast for tomorrow, this map from the GFS is showing 18 on Friday. When we calculate that, that's about 1 p.m. on Friday. And look at what we see around Jamaica. We see more in the way of grays that represent normal temperatures. We don't see the yellows or the oranges. We don't see much in the way of blues or greens that represent below average temperatures. Majority of those below average temperatures are to the north of the Caribbean, as indicated by those darker shades of blues and greens that represent even close to 40, even 5 or even 6 degrees Celsius below normal temperatures. We, us in Jamaica, really wonder what that would feel like. However, we know the normal temperatures for the month of December are about 87 degrees Fahrenheit. When we take a look at the thermometer, 87 degrees Fahrenheit is about the same as 30 degrees Celsius. So that is what is being forecasted for tomorrow. As relates to the dry air map, we can see some amount of dry air as indicated by the key at the bottom, the yellows, the oranges, the reds, the whites within those reds. We do see some pockets of dry air and some blues that represent moist air across sections of the Caribbean, but we can see majority of that dry air across portions of the waters to the west of Africa, and all of that is associated with the Saharan dust. A huge dust plume is right there across portion of the main development region, as indicated by those darker shades of browns, and this is valid for 2 p.m. on a Friday. This is where the dust is going to be. And the thing about this dust, it usually moves westward. So hopefully, if it actually makes it to the Caribbean, it is not that robust. And we see more and we have lighter shades of browns than those darker shades of browns. We know the darker shades of browns represent the vigorous plumes that would cause, some respiratory illnesses, sinusitis, asthma, as well as the hazy skies as well. Taking a look at the wave forecast for tomorrow, we can see that we have more in the way of blues still surrounding the island, and the blues, as we can see by both the Euro and the GFS, represent anywhere from 1 to close to 2 meter wave heights. The GFS is a bit more robust, showing some slight purples across the north coast. Those purples are a bit more out to sea on the Euro model. Oh no, the purples are indicative of 2 meter wave heights, even close to 3 meter wave heights. And that's because the winds are going to be strongest, the waters to the north of the island, as we can see by those yellows that represent 25 knot winds, close to 30 knot winds on the key at the bottom right. Portion of Jamaica getting in on more greens and blues that represent anywhere from 10 to close to 20 knots. And we can see the general flow is coming in from the east. And if we're going to be getting afternoon rainfall for tomorrow, we can see the upper level winds coming in from the northwest. And considering that the low level flow is from the east, more than likely, if we get some amount of afternoon thunderstorm activity, all of those high cold cloud tops will be blown off towards the southeast, bringing more in the way of that isolated afternoon rainfall to sections of some south central and western parishes in Jamaica. So definitely a section of southern Jamaica, maybe Kingston, St. Andrew, St. Catherine, Clarendon, Manchester, St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland. But the flow is coming in from the east, so whatever comes off the sea definitely gonna be heading into sections of Portland, maybe St. Mary, St. Thomas. Let's take a look at the actual rainfall forecast to confirm this. So this is valid for 12 a.m. tonight. Look at all of that blue that represent rainfall. And look at where it's confined, sections of northern and eastern Jamaica on both the Euro and GFS malls. So definitely sections of St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland, sections of St. Thomas, still in for some more rainfall. Skipping ahead to about 6 a.m., we still see much of the same. Blues that represent rainfall across sections of northern Jamaica, even sections of eastern Jamaica as well. Definitely Portland going to be getting the brunt of that. Skipping ahead to about 9 a.m., still having much of the same northern and eastern parishes in Jamaica getting the rainfall. GF is a bit more robust than the Euro. And then finally, 3 p.m., what do we see? More blues starting to spill into sections of central and western parishes in Jamaica. So definitely central Jamaica. We know we're talking about those parishes in the county of Middlesex, St. Anne, St. Mary, Manchester, Clarendon, St. Catherine, Western Jamaica. We're talking about those parishes in the county of Cornwall. So St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, and We see that both the Euro and the GFS models are in consensus with what is being forecasted. They're both in agreement. And we usually look for this agreement when we're making our forecast because the chances of it happening are much higher. Alright, so if we take a look at the accumulated precipitation forecast by both the Euro and the GFS, keep in mind that these maps are showing the rainfall totals from now up until 10 p.m. on Friday. And we can see that there's some amount of consensus with where the most rainfall is expected. Section of northeastern Jamaica, as we can see by the GFS, with all of those oranges and reds showing up to 0.99 of an inch of rainfall, close to 1 inch of rainfall. So maybe some isolated flash flooding across Portland, eastern St. Thomas. Euro model showing less rainfall totals, but we can still see that the location is the same. Section of Portland, eastern St. Thomas. And we can't rule out that isolated afternoon rainfall across sections of central and western Jamaica, as we can see that both maps are shading the other areas, even although GF is a bit more robust than the Euro. Either way, rainfall is in the forecast. We're in the month of December. We don't usually receive this much rainfall, especially on the south coast in the month of December. We're in our dry season. And the dry season is going to be even more robust the more we get into the new year. You know, February is definitely one of the driest months of the year. So we'll take all the rainfall that we can get in December to put a dent in the upcoming drought. Alright, so that's it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let us focus our attention on the rest of the Caribbean. So we don't see much happening across northeastern South America at this time, but we do see a line of clouds coming into sections of the Windward Island, sections of Trinidad and Tobago, as well as sections of Venezuela. Not so much across sections of Panama at this time, but definitely sections of Costa Rica, sections of Honduras, Belize, sections of the Cayman Islands. Some of those clouds coming in from the east, passing to the south of Hispaniola. We're still gonna be getting in on some more rainfall across Jamaica. Definitely a section of the Leeward Islands getting in on some amount of rainfall as we speak. And we can even take a look at the Doppler radar images of the northeastern Caribbean to confirm this rainfall. So not much happening right now across Puerto Rico or the British or US Virgin Islands. But as of right now, we do see some hit or miss showers surrounding the island of Antigua and Barbuda, the islands of Antigua and Barbuda, a section of Guadeloupe, Dominica as well. Taking a look at the Barbados radar, not much happening across Barbados at this time, but we do see some rainfall passing to the north of there, heading into sections of eastern Martinique, eastern St. Lucia. Not much taking place across St. Vincent and the Grenadines at this time, but it's areas to the south of there, just like what we saw in the visible satellite images that are getting in on that rainfall. Sections of Tobago, sections of Trinidad getting in on some rainfall as we speak. And if we take a look at the wider view of Doppler radar images, we do see that rainfall associated with that cold front affecting portions of southern Florida, the Bahamas, sections of Belize, northern Guatemala, section of the Yucatan Peninsula as well. As it relates to the temperature forecast, we do see those above normal temperatures across portions of the southern United States, the Central America area, as well as the northern South America area, not to mention majority of the Windward Islands. But it's the Leeward Islands, the Greater Antilles, Southwest Atlantic, all the way up into the North Atlantic that's going to be getting on those average temperatures. And the more north we go, the more below average the temperatures will get, as indicated by those blues and greens. Taking a look at the Saharan dust forecast for 2 p.m. on Friday, we do see that majority of the Caribbean should be in the clear, as all the dust associated with the Sahara Desert is across the main development region, as indicated by those browns, especially those darker shades of browns, and some of that also intersections of Africa. Taking a look at the wave forecast for the Caribbean, we do see that the Caribbean is starting to calm down with more in the way of blues starting to pop up, and we can see by the key at the bottom, the blues are representative of 1 to 1.5 to even close to 2 meter wave height, while the purples to the burgundy or red colors represent the 2 to 3, even 4 meter wave heights, and we do see majority of the eastern portion of the eastern Caribbean, the eastern side, Definitely gonna be getting on more of those purples, and we can see both the Euro and the JFS malls are in consensus with this. Northern side of Puerto Rico, northern side of the Dominican Republic and Haiti, sections of the southwestern Atlantic, majority of the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, Gulf of Mexico, and that's because the winds, as we can see by the wind map, are gonna be strongest there. So all the yellows we know by the key on the bottom right represents 25 knots, close to 30 knots wherever we see those burgundy colors, especially across sections of the Gulf of Mexico as we start to wrap up that era of low pressure that we spoke about earlier. Wind direction still coming in from the east or the east northeast for the most part across the Caribbean. More do we have blues that represent 10 knot winds across the eastern Caribbean. More greens and a mixture of yellows that represent anywhere from 15 to 25 knot winds across majority of the Greater Antilles. As relates to the rainfall forecast, we're starting to see that tremendous purple that represent heavy rainfall across sections of the Gulf of Mexico already. Even sections of southern Florida, sections of the Bahamas, sections of Belize getting in on some of that rainfall, the Yucatan Peninsula, northern Guatemala, sections of Honduras, coastal areas of Honduras, that is, maybe some isolated shores across eastern Nicaragua, Costa Rica as usual, northwestern Panama, sections of Colombia getting in on that rainfall, coastal areas of Venezuela as well as southern Venezuela. Not much in the way of rainfall for Guyana, but some isolated one or two showers across the area as well as Suriname and French Guiana. But look at the Eastern Caribbean. Look where we see the rainfall. We see it across Trinidad and Tobago, sections of Grenada, St. Vincent, sections of the Barbados area. That's much more on the GFS than on the Euro. But we do see some more isolated shores in store for sections of the northeastern Caribbean, maybe sections of the British Virgin Islands, as well as maybe St. Kitts, St. Martin, the Dominican Republic, sections of Turks and Caicos, Eastern Cuba, and the Cayman Islands in store for some mode of rainfall. And the thing is, both the Euro and the GFS modes are in agreement with this, and we know that when both maps from the Euro and the GFS are in consensus like this, the chances of actually happening are much higher. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.